Well, what started out as a good game ended up being a blowout, a 4-1 loss to Vancouver. Props to Vancouver for getting up for this game, but it's kind of unusual when a team like that, that's, in the bottom five of the league, can get up for a game like this, but can't seem to do this on a nightly basis. So what does that tell you? At least Tampa's going to be happy that the Leafs lost tonight, because Tampa lost earlier today against Buffalo. It's almost like the Leafs know who they're facing already. And maybe this is Tampa's problem too. They already know they're going to be facing each other. And it's pretty much, it's 99% settled already. It's hard to keep focus on all these other games when you already know who your opponent is. And you combine that with the new players that you brought in and trying to, get familiar with their habits and just everybody trying to get on the same page, and to do that at a high level and with the high speed of the game, it takes time. Tonight, their issues were they were falling back into old habits of doing the high risk play and the high risk passes east to west versus doing a simpler play and working harder. And I've noticed this quite often with the Leafs, is they'll try all these fancy high risk plays. If it works, it looks great. It looks phenomenal, but when it doesn't work, like tonight, it just blows up in your face and it makes your whole team look really bad, and wonder why you wouldn't do the easier play and work harder down the boards. Like if you haven't got a play there, there's, they haven't got to play along the boards, or they see an opening on the opposite side. So they try a stretch or a long pass and it gets picked off. And in most cases, it's almost a clear breakaway. And that's how the Canucks scored at least two of their goals tonight. Ironically enough, the Leafs were on the power play and got scored on twice because of those east-west high-risk plays. And that's what's killing them right now. They came out early. They came out in the first with a lot of tempo, a lot of pace, and a lot of energy, and the hitting was good. There was lots of it on both sides. So it really brought the game to another level, and it had the atmosphere of a playoff game, with all the high tempo plays and the hard hitting. But it always seemed like the Leafs were a step behind. Even with the core four, they were passing into the skates. They were just a little bit late on the puck. So the timing still isn't there. There were moments that the timing looked good on a few touch plays, but it can be better. It has to improve. And that can only come with time and familiarity with the rest of the guys that are now on your team that got picked up over the last couple of weeks. So I'm confident that they'll get it together before the playoffs. It's just right now it's kind of ugly playing these kinds of games. The core four just have to step up even more and work harder. That's the time that these guys need to work harder, not try all these fancy plays, because that's when you're going to see like what happened tonight. And you don't want that in a playoff game, because it could make you give up a win in the playoffs. That's not good. So I think they're going to have to really take a look at this and really break it down when they go back and watch this on the video, and look at all those high risk plays that got picked off. A lot of them ended up being shorthanded chances, and Murray came up huge especially on the 2-on-0, and he came up huge on a sure goal. He came across and was saved, and it was point blank. So he did his job there. And in the third, the Canucks came out and just completely dismantled the Leafs and it was because of hard work. That was pretty much it. Nothing else. Just hard work. The Leafs kept trying, like I said, to do high risk plays, And the Canucks were able to thwart that, pick it off, and just apply pressure. They scored, 3 goals. This is the kind of thing that they have to get to because they have the weapons to get offense. When you have Murray or when you have Matthews on one side of the post and Tavares on the other, the defense is like, okay, who am I watching here when they're on the power play? You got that kind of skill on the ice. And they ended up scoring and tying the game. Goalie's go chants were erupting in the Vancouver building, which was great. The Leafs are a well-traveled team. There's fans everywhere, but it really lets everybody down when you're trying all these high-risk passes and they're getting picked off. And Vancouver ended up setting a new franchise record for 2 fastest goals. Just off of those, it was the same power play that the Leafs were on this power play and got scored on twice in less than a minute because of those high-risk east-west passes. And that was really where they lost the game right there. So some key moments in the game. Huge hit on Tavares in the first. It looked really bad, but he was able to get up and continue playing, and he stayed for the remainder of the game. He looked good. He had a lot of chances. Ended up tying the game at 1. Ryan O'Reilly got hit in the hand in the second period. Hard shot. He left the game and didn't return in the third. And then we later find out that, during the regular season, he had got a hand injury and was out for a little bit. So hopefully this is nothing too serious and that he's back for the next game. It was a really hard hit into the hand with that puck from the point. The last key point, Murray came up huge and made some stellar saves. But when they keep getting point blank chances and breakaways, there's not much he can do. So the team really let him down tonight. It was only, a condensed moment of the game where the game was completely out of reach. It was only, and like Sheldon Keefe said the one last time, he said, we have to limit our mistakes because those mistakes could make the difference of a game. And that's exactly what happened tonight. That little space of time within 4 minutes and the game was out of reach. So they have to limit those errors. I'm sure they're going to go back and watch it on video and try and clean that up. But again, instead of those high-risk east-west passes, take the easier play, but work harder. And, that about wraps it up for this one. Have a good night.